Welcome, Hillcrest Church. Well, by now, you've probably heard the new CDC directions, the White House directions, and the new guidance from Washington State and Governor Inslee for vaccinated people, social distancing, and mask wearing. And if you've been watching, you've probably seen that it's complicated to weave those pieces together. Some of the guidance is really broad, and you have to decide what it means, and some of it is sort of hilariously complicated. So today we want to take a moment to just talk about what it means for our community. What does this look like for Hillcrest? The first thing that we want to begin with is the why on this. We'll get to the what we're going to do in just a moment, but first we wanted you to hear just our pastoral motive. As we think about this and pray and discern, it's our heart to shepherd and disciple this community that we love well. And this is a diverse community with diverse opinions and backgrounds and experiences. And so we don't want to feel a lot of external pressure. We've been asking ourselves, how do we shepherd and disciple this community well together? And we'll talk a little bit about what that means in terms of the actual components of what we're going to do.
Yeah, the CDC came out in the state of Washington, and we're processing this, as we have done kind of every few months over this time. These latest ones for the state of Washington, they say things like, you can have a vaccinated-only section, and we're thinking, how does that work in a church? That doesn't feel good.
Set up a gateway that brings the vaccinated.
So, but for me, I don't know, this past Sunday, one of our missionaries was sharing, and she was just sharing about the place that she ministers and people who just even haven't been able to worship with fellow followers of Jesus in person. And when they finally do, just the what it means in their hearts. And for me, it was a good perspective of sometimes these kind of figuring out how many rows do we have and how many. It's good to take a step back and just remember, I'm thankful that we get to gather together and worship together.
So good to be together. Right. Yeah, just remember the goodness of being together.
Yeah. You know, bottom line, we want as many people as possible to be able to be here together and feel good about being here. Mm-hmm. I tell you, it was 15 months ago, the last time I got to be gathered together with this pastoral prayer group that meets here in Whatcom County. And I got to go again today. And it was just so special to see people and to be led in worship and to pray together as pastors. And it wasn't as many people as usual, but it was so encouraging to be back together. And that, I remember what it was like when this house was full, and long for those days again, to be where we're all coming and we're worshiping together.
Yeah, cherishing the gathering. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So here's where we're at. As Tim already hinted at, the Washington State guidance, bless their hearts, they really were trying to do a fair job of treating us like some of the other
sporting events
or concerts.
Yeah. Right.
It just doesn't work. I hope that you get a chance to read it. But it divides the community. You can come if each and every time we check a card and you show us your kid's card or you get a negative test for them before. Friends, it wasn't going to work.
COVID section.
Yeah, none of us wants to be the vaccine verifier. And so it's just that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, over these past 15 months, we're coming to each one of these new hurdles. How do we move ahead? How do we move ahead pastorally, maintaining a sense of connection and unity in our church family? Make sure people are practically safe, but also just like creating an environment where people can genuinely worship. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that. From a pastor's heart, and so that's what we've done once again. Yeah, and the reality is it's changed a lot of times, and it's going to change more times in the future. And so, kind of for this next short season, this is how we're going to be moving ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we spent over an hour at our staff meeting together, just
well over
praying,
an hour.
Yeah, I mean, just talking through every angle. How are people going to feel of this? And what about this angle? And what's the perception of this? And really, bottom line, we just came to, we really want our community to feel shepherded, like by that. That's what our role is as your pastors, is just to be guiding us along in the way of Jesus.
Yeah, following Jesus, guiding along together in a good way that's caring for all kinds of people in our community. So here's what you've been waiting for. Let's talk about brass tacks for a second. I'm going to give it to you in 5 simple brass tacks. Number 1, for the time being, remembering this is probably, 5 weeks, this will change again. But for now, the staff and volunteers will remain masked on Sunday mornings. It keeps it easy for everybody. It's an act of solidarity too. Kids and our youth gatherings will also remain masked for now. Most of them aren't vaccinated. Some simply can't be vaccinated. And we've always pegged our behavior in this way along with Bellingham Public Schools. It's given us a really solid place, and we'll continue to move along with the schools. Number 3, we'll continue to maintain closed rows and some social distancing in our spaces around here, just to keep it safe. But 4, we do want to say this. If you are a fully vaccinated adult and you've made a conscientious decision on your own, you do not have to wear a mask here. There is no mask mandate for you while you're in the space. We feel like that's the space where we can really follow along with the CDC, follow the science and the CDC guidance. 5th is many will still wear a mask. Some are just going to wear a mask because they're not ready yet. It's taken some time to acclimate. They're being extra careful. They're standing in solidarity with some other folks. They're
modeling for their kids.
Modeling for their kids. Or maybe they're not vaccinated. And really, that's all totally up to them. So some will be unmasked and some will be masked, but the room will look still pretty much the same. So those are the 5 things that you can count on in the few weeks to come before it changes again.
Exactly.
And our heart just is for you all. Just like we want, like at the end of the day, we're not a grocery store. We're not Best Buy. We're
One-time
not,
concert.
Like we're a community, and we want to keep people connected. And our heart is that you be able to be here and feel welcomed and feel safe and feel like you can connect with God and one another. And I think just as your pastors, our heart is that we would be generous with one another in this time. That we'd extend trust to one another, because I think it'd be easy to be like, I'm wearing a mask. What are people going to think? Or
what's that person?
I'm not wearing a mask. What are people going to think?
Yeah.
Or looking side eye, like what's going on? And I think our encouragement is that to extend generosity of heart.
Yes.
To assume the best of one another, to trust one another, to respect one another's decisions. I think that's gonna as a family, that'll move us through this season the best way possible.
Agreed.
And remember, Tim, last time, like this time last year, I was recording in my attic by myself with the camera. And we were all at home.
Yeah.
It was just, we've come a long way. We've endured as a community.
Right.
And I'm proud of this community that we've maintained. We haven't given up.
Yep.
And this next little portion is just a little time. We don't know how long, but it too will pass, whether it's 5 weeks or what.
We think that the date, they're actually giving us a date, June 30.
Yeah.
We're hoping that target holds out, and we're talking about just a short-term kind of new situation.
But then we'll see what the news is.
Yeah, exactly. So in the meantime, we hope that you will come and that you'll find this to be a joyful and refreshing atmosphere to grow together. If you're not here at the 9 because there's not room, and remember, you do want to still sign up. You still want to register.
Know the number of numbers at least, number of people,
That's helpful. But there's generally room at the 11. So we'd love to see you on any time on Sundays.
Yeah, dear ones, we love this community. We are delighted to pastor in the midst of it. We're really delighted to serve you. And as we've all said, we know that not everybody's going to love this, but if everybody will give a little bit, we feel like this is a good way ahead for us. The situation's constantly changing, and we'll do our best to stay on top of it. For now, let's just take all of this. Let's be a good, healthy, Jesus-following community together. And we can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. God bless.